guys. Welcome into my home. So much to say. I think I liked it before when I would do these type of Tallulah talks like more frequently because I was doing them in short increments and I felt like that was good. Um, I saw something that said that people's attention span is about 15 seconds, which is so sad. Like, when did that happen? Over time. Sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable. But I've wanted to talk to you guys so badly, so many times. It's just that I'm in a precarious situation because there's a lot of moving pieces, and quite frankly, I don't want to, I don't want to speak too much of certain things because it's not my story to tell. I'm part of the story and it's my story and I'm allowed to tell my side of it. But I don't feel right speaking so much for others. Cryptic, I know. But long story short, um, the cabin is up for sale and we've already had uh, two showings, same family. Um, they're very serious, which is really cool because they're such wonderful people. And I still don't know in this moment what's going to happen. Spirit has really been teaching me for quite some time. I'm going to come up a little closer. Ooh, hello. Spirit's been telling me for quite some time and showing me what attachment really means and detachment really means and going with the flow of things and not getting attached to an outcome. When I've been noticing that it's like I don't know chess that well. My husband is really good at chess, and we keep saying he's gonna teach me. Sorry, my pants are, I tie them tight when I'm walking around the house, but when I go to sit down, I'm like, they're not elastic. So anyway, let me get cozy. But basically, I feel like I'm in a chess game right now. But it's not really so much about who's going to win, or it's not about winning. It's just about like you don't know what someone's move is going to be. You can kind of predict it, right? If you're like a master, you can predict it. But I've also been, this last year, I've been very cautious about going into anybody's energy field or, I've had some people make some snide comments to me like, like if you're a psychic, how come you don't know? Or, blah, blah, blah. And I don't think people really understand what it's like to be a telepathic medium and live in a world where I don't even have to be in the same room with somebody and I know what they're thinking and I know what they're feeling. And um, my whole life I had this but didn't understand it really. And now I'm having these really profound, deep awareness lessons. It's almost like I'm like, I just want to be like everybody else, I just want to be with you guys. I just want to be like everybody else. Um, and that's been a challenge because it went from always knowing this about myself, always feeling certain things, or, you know, having these feelings about other people or what they're thinking or what they're feeling, and then being told, no, and it getting beaten out of me, so to speak. And then cut to years later, I investigate myself and my gifts and have finally called them gifts instead of the curse that I felt like it was my whole life. Um, Now back to, just because I have the gift doesn't mean I should use it, right? I mean, not all the time. So it actually takes a great amount of restraint. It's taken me years of practice and restraint to not hear people's thoughts, to not tune in, to not intrude. There's so many things that this adventure has taught us. I think the coolest part is that I feel like I've always known this there was something more to this than like just our home. I don't know what's going to happen. Um, but if the people that are interested in it now do end up purchasing this home, I know that it's going to go to a really beautiful, thoughtful, inspiring, life-changing family that like needs a life change, something really cool and significant. And I know what living like this has done for me and for Alder. And you know, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get emotional or not, but most of you who have been with me for a long time know that it has not been an easy road. And I think I make it look easy in some ways to some people. I can't do that, Lula. I'm not like you. But as I had a lot of 644, as I had a lot of self-reflection today, meeting these people again and working with them spiritually and connecting with them 655 spiritually, and just realizing that I know I have something really powerful and profound to do. And I don't 100% know. It's scary sometimes, but it's not scary because when I start to feel fear, I just start to feel love. And I'm just like, I love, I love, I love. Like, I trust you, Spirit. I trust you. Like, I know you got my back. I was like, I know you got my back. And I do. I do know they have my back. Ooh, I'm going to put this down a little bit. And like, I wanted you to see some candle action. We fought really hard for this. We worked really hard for this. But it didn't align with the path of the person who owns it. And everyone's health is so much more important than anything else. And I'm just seeing how depleted and broken a lot of people are. And I feel that heavily. And I understand it because I have felt that too. But on the other side of it, I feel hopeful. And I have no idea what's going to happen. But there's a lot of cool things that are headed our way. And a lot of blessings, a lot of growth and expansion. I mean, I literally cannot say that enough. I think it's been hard for me to even admit to you guys just how deeply broken I was. And I'm trying to get through this. I'm trying not to cry, but it's not working. Because I don't think I really understood how important my job is until today. When I come across these souls that are so beautiful and so precious, and so kind and so loving, it just gives me a lot of hope. And I feel like I'm really mourning my old life in a way. It was the third anniversary of my stepdad's passing, January 18th, and um, a lot of powerful things happened to me that day. And I know that he and my biological father, they're both up there, out there, wherever they are. I can't pause it, sorry. Even this has been a lesson in like where they just want me to keep it real and keep going and not edit and stop and go back and like show you the perfect sides of me because, you know, there's no such thing. Um, I was like, Alder and I were really into The Good Witch for a minute. When we finished that, that was amazing. So now we're on Heartland. We're on season 2 of Heartland. We're like so into this show. I mean, I would have never, in my other lives in this life, would have watched this show. Maybe for the horses, whatever. But watching it now is like so profound because all these years that we've been working with horses, it's like I'm, watching it's really interesting. Some of it is real, some of it I'm like, but it doesn't matter. It's still, it's good. It's, there's nothing wrong with good wholesome TV, like something that makes you feel good, something that, brings in whatever you need. Anyway, I'm diverting a little bit because one of the biggest reasons why I haven't been doing so much spirit work is you guys know I've always done everything I can to be as transparent as possible. It's important to me, truly, to my core and to my soul. It's important to me to be authentic and to be real. With that being said, I'm changing so rapidly that it's hard to talk to you guys about certain things. Ooh, 12:44 and then 45. And if you're new here, when I call out numbers, it could mean something to you. It maybe not, By the way, can we take a sidebar for a second and get a little like I cannot believe no one has no one else coined TNT for Travis and Taylor because I mean ever since it came out that they were dating, I was like, TNT, like, that's going to be their hashtag for sure. I'm like, I'm sure. And I'm like, I've not heard it anywhere. So maybe it has been out there, but I haven't heard it. But they are, they're like dynamite in like all the ways good, I don't know what the phenomenon is, but she's like the Beatles and Elvis and Michael Jackson all of them in one. I mean, seriously. I mean, there's a lot of women in there too I could throw in. I don't know why those just came up, um, but yeah, it's just been mind blowing and interesting to see how many people are coming in. Like anytime someone tries to bash her or bash him or like whatever, is like people will come in and be like, hey, leave them alone. But seriously, they are dynamite together. TNT. I mean, how cute. I really hope they're in those. I know it's silly because it's like our life. It's like I feel like it's like the world soap opera right now. Like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna happen? Are they the one? Are they gonna get married? Are they gonna have kids? It's kind of cute though. 14, 13, and then 14, 14. Interesting with the 14 and then 13. My birthday sister, Taylor. Um, but I think it's kind of the fairy tale everybody needs right now. I feel like people need to look to love and marriage, to see like, what's real out there and all the people who've talked smack about them. It's like, your ex can talk smack about you, but it's like your experience with them is your experience with them. Every person has a different experience with every person. Even if you keep dating this, if you're a serial dater of the same type of person, they're still a completely different person. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you guys that as much as we love the cabin, she's not ours. And throughout this experience, I've tried to bail many times. I have gone into my fight and flight, fight or flight. Interesting. I've gone into my fight or flight mode. So is Alder, many, many times. But I don't know. We just have a different outlook now than we have before. Because no matter what happens, I really genuinely know we're going to be okay. I mean, I don't know. We could end up owning it someday. Like, I don't know, I don't know. But the most interesting thing is the people that are really interested in it are very interested in doing something spiritual, some type of, she's like, oh, I'd love to have a spiritual retreat. And I was like, I mean, there's so much potential here. It's really amazing. I even said to them today, I said, with the right money, time, energy, I'm like, there's so many things you can do that we have discovered, on the property that would really, really work. And they were really cool. They wanted to hear our input. And she was just the nicest, most beautiful soul I think I've ever met. Like, if not ever, but like in the top like 3. I'm not kidding. Like, just genuine love in their heart chakra. Beautiful. So beautiful. And how she was genuinely concerned about where we were going to go. She's like, I feel like we'd be like kicking you out of your home. I'm like, it's your home. If it's your home, you know what I mean? Like, if it was meant to be our home, it would work out that way. If it's not meant to be our home, it won't. And I think there's something about letting go of it that's made Alder and I feel very free. And not just because like we're like, oh man, I don't want to have a house, 1713 and then 1715. Ooh, lots of good ones in here for today for a lot of my people. You know who you are, especially my 17s. Um, there's a lot of people in our tribe that are really into numerology, and that's why I call them out, because it can mean anything. It could be a time, it could be a jersey number, it could be someone's birthday, it could be their age. But that's always kind of like a wink, wink from spirit, like, this is good for you to listen to. Or, I remember when I first started these, I would have like my regular people who'd be like, I love your Tallulah talks, and then I'd have somebody who would like find my video and be like, why do I want to sit here and listen about your life, and I'm like, you don't. That's the beauty of it. You just keep going on, But yeah, at some point, at some time, I will go into detail and tell you guys and fit in the puzzle pieces. And for some of you who are more in my inner tribe, if you're curious or you want to know, like, reach out, and I'll tell you. But I just right now, I don't feel comfortable, like I said, putting out other people's information on my, social media like this. But I also know there's a lot of you who love me and my family and have been very invested in our adventure. But what I started to say earlier when I was crying and I needed to take a break was, it's interesting how many people looked down on Alder and I when we were living in Big Camper, how I felt this vibe, this energy of family, friends, people out there, that weren't always wishing us well, or were wishing us well, but were like secretly hoping we'd, fall on our face or whatever. And I could feel that, like I can literally feel that. So I worked even harder, every time somebody told me I couldn't do something, I did it. And I declared when I was a teenager that I was going to move to Hollywood and be a star. And not everything turned out in that way, in that manner at that time. But I'll never forget that New Year's Eve of I turned 23 in December, and that New Year's Eve, my one friend was like, you're not going to leave. You're going to stay here like the rest of us. You're just going to be here like the rest of us or something. And I was like, I just turned 23, and I just like looked around, and I was in this bar that I grew up in, and there was nothing wrong with it. It's just that like I felt like George Bailey. Like I always felt like I needed to go somewhere else. I needed more. I needed to go see things. I just needed to go. I didn't know. where I'd end up or what would happen. I just knew I had to be free. I felt very, the thought of staying at my job in my cubicle, tethered to it just felt very, for me personally, it just felt like I couldn't breathe. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to move. I'm like, I'm going to start looking into it. And my job, the job that I had, I worked in television in Chicago, downtown Chicago. And I started like looking to transfer to other companies like my own. I started sending my resume out, so that I was trying to just transfer so I would have a job and, a place to live and everything. Because I'd never been to LA, even though I wanted to move there, I'd never been there. But what ended up happening was it didn't, like, nothing was coming through for me at the beginning when it first happened. And so I took on a second job and I worked at night at Outback Steakhouse when they just started. And it was like kind of a big, it was a big deal. They were the first franchise like that was like kind of a more high end. It wasn't a sizzler, you know what I mean? And I made really good money. I mean, I was like a machine, man. So I told everybody, I declared on New Year's Eve that I was going to move to Los Angeles, and I don't think anyone believed me. And because they didn't believe me, and the more they ribbed me about it and gave me shit about it, the more I was like, oh, I have to go. Like, it was like, I have to go now. And and in a weird way, I'm glad that they did that, because I probably would have stayed. I probably wouldn't have had the courage or the tenacity or the strength to, or the endurance at that time to do something like that. But I knew that I had to do it for myself. I had to try. And now I've moved almost 30 times in 52 years. I've lost count. It's either 29 or 30. Well, because we were like, well, because I think this is 30. I think that's what it was, because we moved onto the property, but we were living in the RV off grid, and now we're in the house off grid. So, and this isn't totally off grid because we have a generator, like we can have electricity. So, some of you know, I have to tell you guys a story because you're going to laugh yourself silly. So, some of you know that, like, a short time after we moved in here, the well broke again. And I was like, what the fuck? But every time Alder went to talk to our landlord about it, he just didn't feel like it was a really good time. And, he'd be like, oh, he just got some really bad news. He's like, I just didn't have the heart to tell him. I'm like, you got to tell him, dude. So, long story short, he came over here and he fixed it in like 10 minutes. It just blew a fuse. Alder checked all the fuses. He has like a little machine. He's like, I checked all the fuses. I'm like, are you sure? I'm like, are you sure your machine was working? So anyway, it was so interesting. When he turned it on that fast, I'm like, I go, do you know how long? I'm like, I'm not. I'm like, no. I'm like, I can't. I'm like, I can't go there. But even that was like a blessing, because it really taught us how to really live in the house like that too. It was very interesting. Like, it's just been so interesting. We've learned so much, and I personally believe that everything happens for a reason. Okay, I looked up and it was 2345, 2345. Like, keep going, keep going, keep going. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Um, so I believe that we were given this opportunity and this chance to really strengthen and grow. And I joked to Alder, I said, I feel like this has been our Everest, like our like last test kind of thing. And ever since we've let go of the house, like, all these really wonderful things have been happening. Our flow has been better. It was like we both have just been like making money again and like feeling in the flow and just feeling good. And today I had such a beautiful experience working with someone with Reiki again in person, which I forgot how much I really love that. And my hands are on fire right now as I'm talking to you guys. So I'll send you some energy. All you have to say is I accept this energy. So we'll just do a little Reiki while I'm talking. Just taking some deep breaths. I'm going to continue sending it to you. So I had this great moment with Alder, and I said, Okay, what do you want now? We manifested this. We brought this to life. We really did. So I said, what now? What now? What do we want now? And I said, you don't have to say anything right now. I said, you don't have to say anything right now. Just think about it. And the next day I asked him again, and he said, I just want to help people. And I said, me too. So that's why I know I'm sending you some pretty waves of healing energy. So that's how I know that everything is fine. Everything's going to be fine. And everybody does their own healing their own way. Just because one person teaches you Reiki one way, I know they have the symbols and all that, but it's really the intention. It's the energy that you're sending and how you're sending the energy. There's no right or wrong way, really, to do things. It's just different ways of doing things. If it feels right to you, that's all that matters. So, how funny that we've had this experience. And when we were talking to them today, after everybody left, because like they had some engineer here, like they were like structural, like they really, because they live in Iowa, so we had to, or they had to really get into business this week. They were here on Tuesday, and then they were here again today, and the broker, you know what I mean, like having all these people here, it was really, really interesting. But once everybody left and it was just them and us, it was a really cool moment. And I just felt like everything came together because I remember what this place looked like when we got here. And if they do end up getting it, they're such beautiful people. Like, they deserve this. They deserve all the hard work that all of us put into it. So many. Anyway, I don't want to talk out of school, but I also like the fact that they want to preserve it, because there's others that are like, oh, you can just bulldoze it and knock it down. I'm like, I don't know. It feels like she's got good bones. Like, I think she's, even though certain things weren't done up to code, or they weren't, whatever. Ooh, 2807. There was still, and 2809, there's still something that I can't put my finger on, that I can't really explain. I think it's because it's on, it's on sacred land. I think that there's something about that. I don't know what that was. Bubba's sitting right here. I'm like, I don't know what that was. But this is on sacred land, and there's something here that I cannot explain. And it's really powerful, and it's really magical, and whatever happens is what was meant to be. And I think Alder and I both were trying to somehow feel accomplished by buying it. Like, by buying it, somehow we made it. I remember there was a time where my family were like, oh, we're going to all retire early because, blah, 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 and you're just fucking around. And I was like, yeah, but I don't know if I want that life, though. Like, just like they didn't want my life, living in LA, whatever. They loved growing up and staying where we grew up. I didn't. It didn't mean anything bad or good. But there was a long time where I chastised them, and I was just like, why would you stay here? You can live anywhere. Like, go, like, take your kids, go live somewhere else, But now seeing the beautiful life that they built in their family and stuff, all of my family, like they've built something special for themselves there. I just never had that permeance. I never felt, it's like I had such a gypsy soul that wanted to move around, but that wasn't accepted. That was very frowned upon. That meant that I was loosey-goosey, and that I was non-committal and flaky and all these things. And I was just like, no, I go where I feel like I'm supposed to go. And last night, or was it this morning? I think it was this morning. I was actually blessed with this video from Stargirl the Practical Witch, who then became Anita Serene, and just telling her story about like how she's been changing so much. And I was like, we're very similar. She and I, she's a Sag too. Um, but just how like her identity, she feels like her identity, is keeps shifting, but what she really wants to do is go back to the core of who she was, but kind of like who she is now, kind of like rebuilding herself from her. I mean, I'm speaking for her, paraphrasing from what she was saying, but it just, gave me a lot of food for thought about like, the Derek Zoolander, who am I? But there is something about that right now. I think a lot of us are waking up different levels of consciousness, different, is it rapidity, rapid, you know what I mean? Some of us are waking up really fast. Some people are waking up, quickly in one area, then kind of stunted and like floating, still fixing, working, healing, something here, and then they're here, and then they're here. It's like everybody's on their own. I'm getting pain here in my heart, but in my heart, for somebody like almost like I feel like almost like indigestion, or I'm seeing somebody taking a lot of like antacids. So I heard whoever this is for, this is spirit saying stop doing that. You're just it's just you're putting a band-aid on a dam, like the dam's got a crack. Instead of fixing the crack, it's like you're just putting a little band-aid on it. It's like I'm getting like, no, it's because of what you're eating, or whatever time of day maybe you're eating late and then going to sleep. But anyway, I'm just getting somebody, this just came out of nowhere. So, when I get that really serious, I take that very seriously. But it's just here, I keep getting this pain like right here. And so it feels like masculine. So I'm going to send it some healing energy. Um, it doesn't necessarily have to be a man. It could be somebody with a lot of masculine in their chart. But I'm working through it right now. Anyway, that was interesting. So, yeah, I mean, I remember when I was partying and eating like shit and going to bed late, and I'd wake up in the morning and I was like, oh my gosh. And I would pop heartburn pills like they were nothing. And that shit ripped my body apart, almost killed me actually. So be mindful, especially to the empaths out there, the sensitives, be mindful of what you're putting in your body, outside your body, what's in your atmosphere, what's in, who you're around. Right now, there's a lot of fragility, especially for the empaths. Inwardly, outwardly, limit your time on social media, limit your time around other people. Those of us in the Northern Hemisphere really take this time to enjoy winter. We are fully into winter now. And it'll be, spring will be here in 6 weeks. So, enjoy it. And I guess 6 weeks, right? Something like that. Not quite 8 because it's the 28th. So, but enjoy this time. Stop pushing yourself so hard. He and I were getting that too. Like we've been getting, it's even though these people are lovely, we're not used to having people in our home like this, especially twice in 1 week. The first time, there was 4 people and myself, and today it was me and Alder. There was 7 people here, and that's a lot. We're not used to having that many people, like, walking around our house and inside the house and outside the house, and taking measurements and working and doing stuff. And it's it's intrusive, not in a bad way. We had a really great time, but it's still like we have to like stop our lives to to accommodate people coming to look at it, because I don't know who else is going to come and look at it, So it's going to be one of those things. So I apologize. I know I had all these grand plans for all the spirit work I wanted to do, but I feel like spirit is just trying to tell me to really take it one breath at a time. And I will try and get something out soon. That's why I've been doing the shorts on the Magical Medium and the shorts here, because that's about all I can do at this time. But things are coming together. They're coming together. And the interesting thing is, I have moments where I'm like, I feel like we're still gonna be here for a while, and then I have other moments where I'm like, I don't know. We could like something else could come up and we're like, we're outie, you know what I mean? Like if we're not going to live here, and I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but I will say this, that if anything, I pray that the people that have been looking at it buy it just so that we will have some breathing room, because we spoke about that today, and their window is a lot more reasonable than the window we were given, which is the end of March. So, whether it sells or not, we basically were told we had till the end of March. So that's, 2 months. We can do it. We're going to do it. But it's intense, right? But with them, like we spoke with them about it, and you know, there's a lot that they have to do still, and whatever. But whatever's meant to be will be. And if it's not right for them, it's not right for them. They'll know. We'll all know. And wherever we end up is where we're supposed to go. So, and I really feel okay about it, especially because we're in here for at least 2 more months. So, even though the Pacific Northwest can be kind of a drag, um, sometimes it looms till June. But sometimes it's interesting because we'll have like a natural spring. It'll be beautiful and the weather will start to get warm, and then we'll like have a flash of heat in May. And then June comes, they call it June gloom up here. And then June comes and it's like it'll get down to like 45 and you're like, what's happening? It'll be like 90 and then it's like 45 and you're like, what? It's like whiplash. But if we don't find a place and we end up, living out of the van, then we'll just head south. We'll just head to where it's warm. So it's like, it's all good. That's what's exciting right now is I think I like that. It's like, I don't mind being tethered to something. I'm not going to lie. I mean, we want to move into a house. I'd rather move into a house and be settled and travel, and then have somewhere to come home. But also I'm fully aware that whatever is meant to be will be, 3724. With Alder and Bubba and I, like, if we're meant to bring the medicine, somewhere else, then we will. And that's what I feel like this whole thing has been. Like, we have literally helped heal the land here, the home. We were telling the people today, I'm like, when we first got here, there was some dark shit going on in here. Now it's so light and like loving, and like it feels like a hug in here. It's really nice. Um, so that makes me feel happy and proud that we can bring that kind of love and comfort to others in such a non-direct way, but will influence and impact their lives dramatically. Because if it's not them, it'll be somebody else. So, and if they do turn it down, I don't know. It's like we could find people who want to invest with us, because we haven't really tried really hard to get investors. Because I mean, I've worked in like major business before, and I would never even propose anything to anybody until I had a good business plan sorted out, um, like real figures and all that. I have a rough idea of how it would be, because we figured it out, and like we did the mortgage calculator and like all that kind of stuff, and we figured out, because the land, there's 5 acres, it's 5 acres on this beautiful hill overlooking this gorgeous, the Strait of Wanafuka. What's really neat is that there's all these like there's 3 specific levels coming up to the property that we could turn into like really cool, like, spiritual, retreat places for people to stay, huts. Today, the person that was interested in this was like, I always wanted to do a teepee, like a sweat lodge and a teepee. I'm like, oh, that sounds awesome. You know what I mean? Like, so, and I've told you guys before that we think that there's an old sweat lodge on this property. We found this octagon shape from an aerial view, and we need to research more. We need to find out, and we need to go down to the reservation and find out if we can, or see if we can find out like what was there before. This tribe's been up here for over 1,000 years, so I'm sure it was something at some point. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it sounds amazing and dreamy. I mean, there's so many things we could do. We can host excursions. There's a place where I want to do music, where we could do music outside, where we can have like little celebrations and parties. And, there's just so many options. And just being on the peninsula alone, from the hot springs to, the waterfalls, to the hikes, to the ancient forests, the rainforest. I mean, there's just so much, and that's what we've wanted to do since day one. So if not this place, and if it is meant to be, it will be. And if it's not this place, it'll be somewhere else. And maybe we were meant to just, help bring the good energy here to give the next person like a nice, clean slate. So, with that being said, thank you so much for listening. I love you guys so much. I know that a lot of you have reached out and I haven't responded. I have been really wrapped up in this. I've been quite selfish, I know, with my time, but it's just because I'm going through such a major metamorphosis, and we are all ever changing all the time. But this one feels bigger. This one feels like I know that this is the best year of my life. 2024, I can feel it. I've had really, really magical years, and the year I was 27 was really magical. Um, I think it was the year I was 32 or 33. It was my first summer that I was broke up with my first husband, and I had like the most amazing summer, one of the best summers I ever had of my life, and just a phenomenal lover and like fun people, friends, jobs. I worked two jobs, waiting tables and bartending in Chicago with like super awesome, cool people. And it was just like a fun party. I just felt like a kid again. It was really great. And 27 was kind of like that too. Like a lot of cool things aligned for me. And, um, and I've had a lot of good things happen throughout years, but this one, it's just feeling really good. And I'm feeling the more I lean into it, the more I'm like, I'm limitless. Like I'm telling you guys, it really does make a difference. Mantras, post-its, I keep post-its all around. It's like abundance is my birthright. And it's like, bam, $100 comes into my orbit. You know what I mean? I'm like, I keep saying these mantras. Oh, and when I'm starting to feel negative or fearful or just anything that doesn't feel good, I just go, you know what? I am love. I love love. I am a divine child of the universe of love. Just whatever languaging comes to me at that time. I've been writing again like crazy and rhyming and making up songs. Last night I was making dinner and I was just like, on the couch or whatever. And I just started singing this song. And then like it got to this one part I was like, that was really good. And I go, I just wrote that. So I know like more is coming. And I think that I feel like 2024 is the catalyst for all of us. It doesn't matter who you are or what lessons you're going through. We have highs and we have lows. We have highs and we have lows. We have highs and we have lows. Even today we had a lot of highs and then we had a few lows. Then we had some highs and we had some lows. It's just part of life. And I feel like the more we embrace it, and then when the lows happen, we just go, okay, how am I going to handle this? How am I going to respond to this? You know, and for years, nobody really regulated my emotions, or it was like once my parents got divorced when I turned 12, it was like everybody kind of scattered to the wind. So I just basically raised myself. And most of that was just watching other people, watching my family, watching my friends and their family, and trying to emulate this person or that person, or trying to be, I'm like, oh, that person seems successful, I want to try and be like them. you know it was interesting because I was promoted to be myself, but then when I was myself, I was then deemed weird, or whatever. all the labels that were given to me, crazy, just whatever. So I've been unpacking a lot of shit for a long time. And I feel like now at 52, it's like I'm getting to that point where, aging is really cool. And I really love myself, and I'm really loving who I'm becoming, or who I'm coming back into, without the interference of people telling me how I should be or what's wrong with me, or, you know, there's nothing wrong with me. I'm fabulous. And I had this moment today where I was speaking to these people and I said, the hardest part for me, it wasn't an ego thing, but the hardest part for me is that working with my spirit work and helping people and doing what I love, helping people. I'm feeling really good about it. And then I would go around my family or my friends that weren't accepting of that of me, or didn't know how to understand that part of me, because they were only going from their level of consciousness and their understanding. So they're just like, does not compute. You are not Kelly anymore. Who is Lula? I remember telling some people, my new name. I was like, I'm changing my name. And they're like, yeah, I'm not going to call you that. I'm like, okay, so you're disrespecting me. I'm like telling you I'm changing my name, and that because you don't like it, because you don't want to take the energy to call me something else. I was like, I mean, I get it. It's going to take a while, but I have people who have known me as Kelly and still would call me Lula or Tallulah, and had no problem with it, you know? So once I kind of stepped away from people branding me, labeling me, and telling me who I was, it's given me a lot of time. I miss them terribly. I miss so many people. It's hard. Um, but I I refuse to go backward. I want to move forward. And I know that I was born into that blood and bone bloodline. Like I was born into those, like that lineage. I chose that. I understand that. But like what I am, like my soul, and like as a healer, light worker, angel, I don't know, whatever labels you want to call it, witch. Um, but whatever I am different from them. And different for some people is scary, but I don't want to, I remember there was this movie. I have to find it. I think it was called Monsters or something, and it's from like the 80s, I think. It's I want to say it was from when I was a kid. So I was born in 71, but maybe I was a teenager. But anyway, I just remember this movie where it was all these monsters, but they didn't deem themselves as monsters. Or at least the Frankenstein monster didn't. And I remember there was this scene where the kids befriend him and they realize that he's actually really sweet. He's not like the other monsters. He's really good. And so they're trying to hide him in their treehouse or something, if I can remember. It was a long time ago. We're talking like 30, 40 years ago. And there's this scene where he looks in a mirror and he goes, scary. And I just remember I was like, what? That actor was amazing. Because I was like, whoa, because he was just like, I look scary, don't I? Like, because he's looking at them, the children, and he's all like Frankenstein, right? Like he's like sewn together like parts and bits. But he was sad because he's like, but I'm not scary. I just look scary. And I'm starting to get emotional. And I think I just tried to be all these different things for all these different people to feel accepted, to feel loved, to feel seen. So it's hard for me to go backwards and have people tell me who they think I am when I know who I am. Speaking of, look at this beautiful Isis necklace, these beautiful labradorites, ancient star. It's as heavy as it looks. It is absolutely gorgeous. Ancient Star Queen. She made this, Erica. We bought it we were going to put it in a frame and put it in the studio, but man, she has just been wanting me to wear it. So, if you're feeling like you need a deity to work with right now, look into Isis. She's really special. I feel like I need to even research her even more. Um, but you're not scary. You're just different. And I'm not scary. We're just different. And you know what? We're all meant to be individuals. And a lot of things are going to change and happen over the next years and decades. So hang in there and reach out to your community. That if you don't have people in your life that are supportive of you, find those that are. You will find your people. Seek out your tribe, because what you're seeking is seeking you. And let yourself be this year. Just allow yourself to just say yes and face your fears. You're afraid to write, then write. You're afraid to sing, then sing. You're afraid to go back to school, go back to school. What do you want to learn? What do you want to? I don't regret going to college. I didn't finish college, but I'm so glad that I went. I overpaid, but but um but I'm so glad that I went, and I actually ended up getting a partial scholarship. And there's a lot you'd be surprised how much or how many things you can go and get scholarships for. And um, I entered like this contest for my school when I was applying to my college. So many they grant so many scholarships per year, and they do it by like hardship, you know. And so I just wrote this essay when I went back to, because I went back to college when I was in my late 30s, and I just was very honest and was like, you know, I need a purpose. I'm looking for purpose. And you know what? I ended up being a school ambassador, that I would talk to the incoming students and stuff. And I would have these parents come up to me like in tears, and they're like, you just inspired me. I feel like I want to go back to school. And I loved it. I loved going to school. I loved it. I mean, it was so rewarding on so many levels, and just awakening my inner artist. And I went back for fashion design, and we had to take, you know, you have certain prerequisites, and I had to take all these different art classes, and I realized I'm a really good artist. Like, I had no idea I can even do half the stuff that I do. I had no idea. So don't doubt yourself. Go after your dreams. You know, you never know what's going to happen. And your life can change in a moment. You see it all the time. That's why there are so many YouTubers or influencers. Influencers are like the new celebrity. Celebrities are into influencers. You know what I mean? It's like they're just fucking people. We all put our, you know, clothes on the same, you know, one leg at a time, as they say, right? Like we all. I remember my friend used to go, I actually don't. I kind of put, I was like, of course, but we like laughed because they were like, I put my pants in and I kind of jump up. I was like, of course, that's awesome. But you know what I mean, right? We're all the same. So don't let fear stop you. I didn't let fear stop me for this. Today, Alder said, I'm just happy that we got to live in here. He said, because there was one point where we both were like, I'd be happy. I just want to live in there for like a month and just see what it feels like. And now we've been in here for almost 2 months, and it's just been really magical. It's been really magical. The other day, our landlord was like sad because he was like, I'm so sorry, you know, and I'm like, don't be sorry. Like, you have to do what's right for you, you know? I firmly believe that. I said, trust me. I said, everything happens for a reason. Spirits got us. They got us. I'm like, don't you worry about us. I'm like, we're gonna be just fine. I'm like, we run on divine timing. So when you know that divine timing is really, you know, happening, it's easier to just let go. It's not like you're giving up. You're just letting go and going with the flow of it, and being, and then things are going to come your way, and then you'll decide like, yes, I want to do this, or no, that doesn't work for me. You know, it's like that kind of momentum. Um, but you don't want to just coast and sit back and just things are flying by you, you know, and you're just like, oh, maybe I should have done that. It's like, yeah, but you don't always want to do anything, everything either. Um, Recently, another light worker and I were discussing this because both of our partners work for themselves, and we were saying, and we do too, and we were saying like, you know, how sometimes if you say no to a job that you don't really like, another good one comes that you do like. So, you know, don't always just say yes just because it's coming there. If it feels good, say yes. If it, a lot of times, if it looks too good to be true, a lot of times it is. I'm not saying, no, I'm not saying always. There's, I mean, things, magic happens. I believe in magic and miracles, right? Magic and miracles happen every second of every day. 53, 52. Um, but there's also a lot of fakery and fuckery out there right now too. So you have to be mindful and use your intuition, you know, and your second sight to really, you know, if you don't, what's that old saying? If you don't know what to do, do nothing. The right thing will come. If you trust, if you keep saying, I trust you, Spirit, I trust you, Spirit, I know you got my back. Send me signs, you know, speak, because the universe is here to help us, right? They're here to help us, but they are not allowed to intervene unless it's already predestined or it's, you know, we ask for help. Otherwise, they just watch us make the same mistakes over and over and try to send us little signs here and there, but it's up to us whether to pick them up or not. So anyway, but I feel relieved because no matter what, it's a win. And any way I look at my life right now, it's a win. And I choose to see it that way. And because I choose to see it that way, it is. Until next time, take good care of yourself and each other. And I will put out some new readings when it's time. All right, I'll see you then. I love you so much. Bye.